Hey everybody, Jeremy here. Today I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the Thinkware Q200 dash camera. Now this is one of their latest dash cameras, and it also happens to be one of their most affordable dash cameras as well. Comes in two different types. You can either get the 2-channel version, which is in this box. It includes the front camera and the rear camera for $199, or if you just want the front camera, you can grab that one for $129.99. If you get this $199 version, they are going to throw in the OBD2 connecting cable for free. So that is a really good deal. Now that is a really useful thing to have because it'll allow you to take advantage of some of the features of this camera, such as parking surveillance that you normally wouldn't be able to do unless you had it hardwired professionally to your car. I do want to thank Thinkware for sending me this camera so that I can review it for you today. And before I get to the unboxing, let's talk about some specs real quick. Now on this 2-channel version, the front camera is going to have a resolution of 1440p, whereas the rear camera is going to have a 1080p resolution. Some other specs include a 125-degree viewing angle, and this also takes advantage of some other features as well, such as the advanced driver assistance system, which includes some features such as lane departure warnings. It'll monitor the potential of front-end collisions, and it'll also let you know when the car in front of you has taken off so that you're not stuck at that stoplight angering the people behind you. And then looking at their website here, it also says that it is multiplexer compatible. So it says that you can get total coverage by transforming your Thinkware dash cam into a multi-channel surveillance system with the multiplexer box accessory. So that's pretty cool. It also has GPS. It has an attachment for GPS location data that this also comes with. And it has built-in Wi-Fi so that you can connect to the Thinkware Dash Cam Link app, either for iOS or Android. All right, so let's open this up and see everything that comes in the box. While I do this, I just want to let you know that I did review the Thinkware Q3000 dash camera as well, and I found that to be a pretty great dash camera. So if you want to see that review, check out the card or the link in the description so that you can check out that video. All right, so first thing that I'm going to pull out here is one of the cameras, and this one looks to be the front camera. So this one is sitting right there on top. As you can see, it's not very long. It's not very big either. It kind of reminds me of a sort of like an old school voice recorder in its size and its feel. Also in this box, we got the windshield mount right here, and this has some 3M tape attached to the backside of it. This is the external GPS module right here. It also has some double-sided tape on the back of that. You're also going to get this. Now this is a hardwire cable. This is what you're going to need to professionally connect the car to the camera so that you can use some of the more advanced features that require constant power, like parking surveillance. Unless you absolutely know what you're doing, it's highly recommended that you get a professional to install this for you. But if you don't want to do that and you don't want to pay for it, your other option is going to be to purchase the OBD2 cable from Thinkware. That is a much more easier plug and play thing that you can do, and you'll still get the exact same features as hardwiring it. Next up here is the rear camera. So this rear camera is smaller than the front camera. So check it out. It's about half the size as the front camera. And this is going to go on your back windshield. It's got some double-sided tape right there on the back as well. We're also going to get a cable that's going to connect everything together. So this is for the front camera and the front camera to connect it to the rear camera. And then as for your power, you're going to be plugging it into the auxiliary power port in your car, previously known as the cigarette lighter. So there you go. This is what's going to power the camera when it is not hardwired, if it is not hardwired. Also going to get some spare adhesives here. We also have some adhesives on the back of these cable clips so that you can route your cables more effectively by sticking them onto various parts of your car. And then last but not least, we've got a Thinkware branded trim tool to help you get under those tight spots in your car for your panels, and you'll be able to sort of pry them open and squeeze the cables through if you want completely clean cable management. And then, of course, the little booklet here for the warranty information and some other miscellaneous information. So no actual like big instruction manual for this. You're going to have to go online and get it from Thinkware if you want to have the full complete instruction manual. But at the same time, that's kind of what this video is for. So now I'm going to get all this set up and I'm going to connect it to the Thinkware Dash Cam Link app, and we'll be able to take a look at the quality that this camera has to offer. So let's take a closer look at this camera. It's not a lot of buttons, so it's not difficult to wrap your head around. We have a manual recording button right there. We also have a Wi-Fi button right there. This is the attachment that you use for the window mount. It just slides right in. On the left side, this cable right here goes to the rear camera that's on the rear windshield. And then right here, this is for the power cable that's just going to be plugged into the power port of your car if you don't have it hardwired or if you're not using the OBD connector. So this is how it works. I got the mount situated up there already, so it's easy enough just to line this up and slide it over, and it just snaps right into place. And you also have this little wheel right here that you can spin in order to give the camera a tilt, either up or down. And then you can look at the Thinkware Dash Link app in order to get a sense of what your camera is seeing, so you can line it up just right. So this is the Thinkware Dash Link app. So let's take a look at some of the things that you can do. First, we can go into live view. And when you do that, it wants to switch to a Wi-Fi network in order to continue. So I'm just going to say, go ahead and connect. And this is the view from the front of the camera. So you're able to angle the camera in order to get the perfect perspective that you want to get. So you can line that up all from within the app. And then if you're driving, down at the bottom, you can also see what your miles per hour is going to be, as well as the time and the date. Now let's take a look at the dash cam info. You'll be able to see the model of the dash cam, the name, the memory card size that's inside of it, which I forgot to mention at the beginning, but it does include a 32 gigabyte micro SD card already inside of the camera. The firmware version, we have the GPS info if you have the GPS attachment connected to the camera, but I currently don't, so that's why it says connection failed. So we got a few different settings here: memory card settings, camera, record settings, road safety settings, and system settings. So real quick, just kind of go through these menus here. So as you can see, you can format the memory card from here in the app, or what you can do is also hold down the record and Wi-Fi buttons on the camera for 3 seconds, and then that'll let you physically format the memory card if you need to. And then we have all of these check boxes that we can mark off for manual recording, motion detection recording while in parking mode, incident recording while in continuous mode, and motion detecting recording in parking mode. Now, because I don't have access to the OBD2 cable and this camera is not hardwired, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take a look at the features such as the parking surveillance or the time lapses, because I am not physically able to do that with the equipment that comes inside of the box standard. All right, so if we go into the next setting here, we can adjust the brightness for the front camera. We can also access the super night vision in parking mode, or in continuous mode, or continuous and parking mode. So I'm just going to switch that over to continuous mode. I have 2 cameras, so I'm going to use the 2-channel setting. Go down to record settings, and then we can adjust the sensitivity for these various modes here. You can enable voice recording if that's something that you want to do, or you can just disable it. Parking mode recording, again, that's not something that we can take advantage of. Smart parking recording is the same thing as well. Impact sensitivity in parking mode, you can change the sensitivity on that as well. We can adjust the battery protection to be enabled or disabled. Or we can select what type of car that we have, whether it's a regular car, hybrid car, or an electric car. And then here are just some battery voltages here. We got the road safety settings menu here. So we can enable these various things. Vehicle type, I'm just going to switch this over to the type of car that we have. We also have the ADAS. We can initialize that. Now it says that automatic calibration will be performed in continuous operation mode during video recording. So let's just go ahead and initialize that. The front vehicle departure warning is going to be a little beep to let you know when the car in front of you has left so that you can be alert and you can also move and you don't have to hold up the people behind you. Let's go ahead and enable that. And here's some of the ADAS safety features. Now, my car already has these features, so I really don't need to use them inside of the camera, but for testing purposes, I'm just going to put these on mid so that we can see how it works out. And then this is the speed that you can choose to have the lane departure warning go off. So ideally, in my experience, is better if you have this at a higher miles per hour, because otherwise, if you're going to be driving on streets that have a lower speed limit, then this will go off more often if you find yourself going into another lane. So typically, if you're going faster, you're not switching lanes all that much. So that's something that you won't have to worry about as much at a higher speed. And then last but not least, let's take a look at the system settings here. You can change the language. Here are all the different languages that you can choose from. We can have the volume on and off. We have the safety cameras. So I'm just going to put 2 right there. The ADAS, let's just hit 2 right there. And then we check off all the forward vehicle departure warnings, forward collision, low speed, forward collision and low speed lane departure settings. So we can choose to do that. And I'm just going to put 2 there. We choose our time zone, enable daylight savings time, change our speed limit indicator from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. And then you can also put a speed stamp on your video recordings if that's something that you choose to do. But those are all the settings for this camera that you can change at your will. And then if you want to see the driving footage, you can go over to what looks like a little film strip in the middle from the front menu, and it's going to pull up all of the driving footage that you currently have. So I can just click on one at random, and it's going to show me what was happening at that time. All right, so that's the settings. Now let's take a look at some of the camera footage. Let's start with one of the most important aspects of a dash camera, and that's how well it can read license plates. Starting with this example here, I'm able to slightly zoom in and clearly see the license plate of this gray car in front of me. Now, this car is fairly close, so it's easy for the camera to make out the letters and numbers. But just like with more expensive dash cameras, reading the license plates of cars that are to the left or to the right of you at a slightly greater distance is more difficult to make out, especially while in motion. Now let's take a look at another example with this black truck in front of me. I'd say this truck is a little more than 1 car length in front of me, but I'm not able to make out the license plate when I zoom in. The car on my right is closer, but I'm only able to make out about 2 or 3 of the letters on its license plate. So, if your main intention is grabbing license plate numbers from cars that are at a distance, you'll find it to be not so easy to do with this camera. But outside of license plate legibility, I think the overall picture quality is quite nice, especially considering how $200 gets you both the front and rear camera, along with some helpful safety features. I found the image to be sharp, the motion is smooth, and it does a good job at balancing the contrast of the overall image. For example, I can make out the definition of the clouds even on a rainy and overcast day. The rear camera is also surprisingly clear. I don't usually expect much from the rear camera as it's smaller and has a tendency to be a bit of an afterthought, but I'm happy to say that it too maintains a smooth frame rate and decent video quality. Now keep in mind, the rear camera is 1080p, so it's not going to look as nice as the front camera. However, it does its job at keeping the people behind you honest. Speaking of staying honest, let's talk a bit about the built-in safety features. In the event of a collision or even a bump in the road, the camera will make an audible beep and save the event in question. You can change the sensitivity of this feature, but just know it can be quite sensitive. It will constantly go off if you're on a bumpy road, so be sure to tweak that setting if you think that's something that's going to bother you. The camera will also alert you if a car is departing in front of you by beeping once. I personally like this setting because it keeps me alert if my attention starts to drift at a stoplight or at the drive-thru. However, I will say the speaker quality has definitely been downgraded from Thinkware's more expensive U3000. The speaker sounds tinny and slightly distorted. The Q200 can also see in the dark thanks to its Super Night Vision 2.0 feature. Here's how it looks on a dark road with no streetlights. When you're night driving when lights are present, the camera maintains full color output instead of resorting to a black and white infrared image. Things get a little grainy as expected, but the colors are accurate and the frame rate remains consistent. The cleanliness of your windshield will also have an effect on video quality. Here's a look through the rear camera in those same conditions. The Q200 offers more than acceptable video quality and optional safety features for its price. You can cover the front and rear of your car for $200, which I think will more than pay for itself if you find yourself in an accident. And in the future, if you wanted to have a multiplex unit installed in your car, you can still use these cameras to go along with it. And if you purchase this dash camera before April 30th, 2024, Thinkware will also throw in an OBD2 cable for free. And you can use this to keep your camera powered on even when the car is off. And then you'll be able to take advantage of the parking feature as well. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the Dashcam's product page. And if you use the promo code JeremyHillT at checkout, you'll get yourself 5% off on the order. So thanks again to Thinkware for sending this camera along, and I will be back very soon for a look at another one of Thinkware's dash cameras. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.